so you know.
How are you? Good, good.
I'm about tired of you right now. I know.
300. Yeah. 4:30.
Good morning. Welcome to the special meeting conference of the Newark Municipal Council on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. Council President, council members, good morning.
Good morning.
We need to go into an executive session at the top of the meeting.
Yes.
You want to have a roll call?
Roll
start the
call
meeting?
for executive session.
Are
Excuse
we
me.
starting the
Oh,
meeting?
we got to do the.
My apologies. Roll call to start the meeting first.
Council,
Present.
Gonzalez,
Yes, here.
Kelly, absent. Quintana, Ramos, absent. Scott Roundtree, absent. Silva,
Yes.
President Crump.
Yeah, present.
Now roll call to go into an executive session, please.
Council,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Kelly, absent. Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos, absent. Scott Roundtree, absent. Silva,
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes. We'll be right back.
So in accordance with New Jersey law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Star Ledger, the Jersey Journal, and the public at large, establishing the date, time, and location of this meeting. In addition, the agenda for this meeting was disseminated on December 6, 2024, at the time of preparation and posted on the website of the City of Newark. Council President, council members, we are on page 4 of the agenda. Resolutions. Items 7R2AS through 7R2CS are private sale redevelopment agreements. A is the First Amendment to the agreement for the sale and redevelopment of land to Lincoln Park Coast Cultural District Incorporated to change the entity name, amend the scope of the project, correct the assessed amount, and correct the sale amount in the South and East wards. Council as a whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Council,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Kelly absent, Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Scott Roundtree,
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes.
B is the First Amendment to the agreement for the sale and redevelopment of land to Rising Plains 570 LLC to amend the scope of the project in the Central Ward. Council as a whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Council,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Abstain.
Kelly absent, Quintana,
Abstain.
Ramos,
Abstain.
Scott Roundtree,
Yes.
Silva.
Abstain.
President Crump.
Yes.
Item failed to adopt. And C is the First Amendment to the agreement for the sale and redevelopment of land between the City of Newark and Inner City Development Group LLC in the South Ward. Council as a whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Council,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Kelly absent, Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Scott Roundtree,
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, the last meeting, I asked that people that were buying these properties be coming to us so that we know who in the city of Newark are buying these pre-sold properties. Do we have any of the buyers here?
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, good morning, Council President, council members. Allison Ladd, Director of Economic and Housing Development. We did, at the direction of council, invite all of the developers who are purchasing land. And even if there is an amendment, such as the 4 that are before you today, they are present in council chambers.
I would like to see who the Inner City Development Group LLC buyers are.
My name is Amal Asif, Newark resident.
And you are
Morning.
the principal on the Inner City?
Yes.
No other members on the?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. We good, Councilman?
Very good.
All right. Next item.
7R2DS is a subordination agreement reverter, authorizing the execution of an agreement to subordinate the city's rights of reverter by entering to a subordination agreement with Merchants Bank of Indiana as lender and Newark Museum of Art owners Urban Renewal LLC as borrower. In addition, in order to permit financing necessary for the redevelopment of an affordable rental or for sale housing project in the Central Ward. Council as a whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Council,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Kelly absent, Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Scott Roundtree.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes.
Public comment?
Uh,
We are-
no, no, no.
You want to do the conference first before public comment?
Student,
Oh,
add a
my
starter.
apologies, Council President, council members. We have an added starter. My brain automatically
Sorry.
reversed. Added starter on communications is item 8AAS, file number 24-1669, which is an ordinance amending special improvement district legislation by clarifying reporting requirements and designating a district management corporation, striking hiring practices, and review and adding establishing a board of trustees and establishing an effective date. Council as a whole to advance and adopt on first reading.
Roll call.
Council,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Kelly absent, Quintana.
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Scott Roundtree,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes. Now,
Public comment. We are now in the 30-minute public comment portion of this meeting where each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record. Is there anyone wishing to address the council?
anybody wishing to address the council, please come forward.
Yeah, they don't do it after the presentation. Manera El Bomani. I just want to say to the ordinance, there was no explanation. Do any of you have an explanation about the agreement with the special improvement district? Because which special improvement district is it? Is it all of them? Or any specific ones? And explain what that means in regards to that. Also, at the last council meeting, the deputy of in full employment, who I continue to say should be removed from that seat because he don't have a clue about what he's talking about a plan of what he's going to do in terms of the hiring for Newark residents in the city, and just to come up here behind George Tillman, who is provoking accountability for the ordinance that you all violate every day on the books. Is this unacceptable for him to even come up here? The committee, the tax abatement committee, should have a plan of action once you leave that meeting, when he made comments in regards to have to come up with 5 to 10 years to get people on contracts. What is your plan, committee? Because you're supposed to have one. Also, who are the unions at the table in these meetings? Because it's just unacceptable if you have union people on that committee that will sit there and don't come up with a plan to get minority, women, and Black individuals on these jobs. You're supposed to have a plan of action. And then to go through all the training, including under Ms. Gaylord. I've been a participant in one of the trainings here and haven't seen a job yet. Got certificates up the gazille. Finished programs and haven't seen a job yet. Training to nowhere. That's what it's all about. Training to nowhere. And then I want to also comment that this individual that keep coming up here calling advocates liars. I haven't seen any of you at no rallies for hiring, for jobs, for housing, no rallies for shutting down these contractors that are not employing. Why you keep coming up here behind us talking about you don't see us in the community? Do you not see us shutting down about a movement for housing in this community? The lead service line, the money that came in here is because Newark Water Coalition, which I'm a proud member of, we protested about the lead in the water. That's when the money came in.
Thank you for your comments.
But to come up here to keep,
Thank you for your comments.
coming behind
Next
advocates
speaker.
is unacceptable. We're not going to
Thank you for your
tolerate it,
comments.
and we're
Next
not going to
speaker.
continue to allow you to allow them
Ms.
to do
Bomani,
that.
please, officers, remove Ms. Bomani.
For what?
I've asked the officers to remove Ms. Mamani. I don't have to answer to you right now. Ms. Mamani, officers, please remove Ms. Mamani from.
Go over that sing to your tune. You let individuals go over the mic over 5 minutes when they sing it to your tune. But those removals are coming.
Ms. Mamani, please, please, Ms. Mamani, and you continue to speak out.
Sing to your tune.
I apologize. Next speaker.
Thank you. I'm Jewel Baskerville, a former resident, trying to be a resident again after graduating. I do like the fact that y'all unanimously said yes to the Lincoln Park nonprofit developer. I definitely think you do need to prioritize nonprofits who actually do work in the city versus outside developers. To the NMA owners, the Urban Renewal Development, I was wondering why there was a unanimous yes with so little information. There's no appraisal amount, no sales amount, and it just says construction of affordable rentals or for sale homes. No, what do they mean by affordable? What AMI are we looking at? So in the future, I imagine this will be reintroduced with more information, hopefully. But yes, please continue or try to prioritize more nonprofit developers rather than outsiders from New York City who don't really care much about the residents or more affordable housing. Yeah, I would like to see more 30% AMIs, 40, 50, even 60. I definitely think there's enough 80%. They make up most of the affordable housing that we have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
George Stillman Jr. I think, and I believe, more than think, that we should be entitled, anytime someone comes in directly, says our names, and responds directly to us and goes on for 10 minutes providing false information, we should be able to respond and not have to wait till the next time to come back up here. So Deputy Mayor Rahman Muhammad said that in that meeting that the administration never admitted that they were non-compliant. That's absolutely not true. And we can go through this ordinance right now and show that you're not in compliance. One, Councilman De Silva, the Affirmative Action Review Council that oversees the monitoring and enforcement of this ordinance has not met. That's non-compliance. That's one. Two, in this ordinance that we discussed in that meeting was no jobs being posted on the website, city website, coming from Newark Works. That's non-compliance. They're not posted. He said he's not posting those jobs because there's no workforce out and no enough qualified tradesmen out there to post the jobs. No, sir. You still have to post the jobs on the website, whether you believe that we got a qualified workforce out there or not. It is your obligation to post the jobs for Newark residents to either apply for them, whether we have the qualified skills or not. Non-compliant. So don't come up this mic and say that you went into that meeting and said that there's nothing wrong with your administration. Everything was wrong. You're not sending qualified residents to the developers as it is in this ordinance agreed, because you said you don't have one. You said it's going to take decades for you to do it because you gave you a whole thing up there why he can't do it. So let somebody else do it. Give me 10 years to come up there and see if I can build a workforce. Councilwoman Roundtree, when there was non-compliance over there at the Kruger Mansion, when I was working for the city of Newark, I had them hire 8 Newarkers, give them an increase of an additional $10 where they was making $25 an hour out of the Office of Affirmative Action. Don't tell me that you can't do it. I did it while I was in office. So again, just like we have people up here giving a snow plan and all those things, I ask that the office of Newark Works, and the deputy mayor come up here and give a plan of action and how they're gonna go forward, not excuses on why he can't do it. Please have him come back with a plan of action, just like this department have to give a snow plan. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
How you doing? My name is Deshaun Ross, and I'm speaking on as far as I understand it's supposed to be a 25-year tax abatement for the project 440 on Elizabeth Avenue. Is that true? I'm here about the 25-year tax abatement. Is that it? No one knows about that? Okay, well, anyway, speaking on that, I was a worker for the job, and I was fired for basically not being paid my overtime that I was working. And I don't see why they should get a tax abatement when they're getting it through our workers. When they're not paying us, we're getting bounce checks. I was fired for 1 in 5 hours of overtime that I put in that I wasn't paid, was told to either let it go or be fired. So I was told to walk, so basically. And they're doing illegal and unethical work. So I don't understand how would they be able to get a tax abatement. And this is to prove it.
What's his name? That's rules.
So we cashing our checks like this from now on?
No, just when the hours are off and you guys are on salary, I have to readjust everything. So instead of jerking around with the payroll company, drop the salary, raise the salary, you leave it, and I cash it.
Okay.
Just when the hours is off. You're paying more Social Security, but you're not paying more.
It's way more than this to this story and way more to this video. Also, I have other proof of other stuff. So at the end of the day, I don't believe they should receive no 25-year tax abatement when they're receiving it through the workers. It's a lot more I can say about what's going on at that job, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. At the end of the day, they don't deserve it, and y'all need to check in because our workers over there are not being treated fair and they're being robbed for their money. Overtime, all the time, but yet we're never getting it or getting some of it, half of it, or whatever they feel they wanna give us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Dolores Black. I am,
Morning.
Excuse my parents. I'm going through my ugly phase of locking up. I would have took the hood off, but I want to make comments on going through these processes. Like, I understand there's proper chain of command, right? I went through a lot of these cohorts, and part of the women's meeting, I was going to ask Ms. Roundtree before you walk away, can we get some updates about the women's meetings? Because after the D-Free with the credit repair, there was nothing else. I did get an invite to the mayor's meeting, then did a pop-up, and it's like, you know, they're actually moving. I love to hold the line that they're uniting and togetherness. Although I was invited and they're accepting the women, we were part of a women's meeting that was actually helpful to a lot of us, me being one of those people. Outside of that, now as a going through this process in development, yes, I'm new to the process, and my asking questions seems to be bothering a lot of people. I don't understand why, but I'm eager to learn, so I'm asking questions. I'm no way trying to be disrespectful and just jump to the top, knowing that there's a proper chain of command to follow. So it's a lot of unnecessary negative pushback, and it's disgusting, right? So if you got somebody like me at 45 who jumping back in, my boys are 28 and 18, but I have a baby girl that's 3. So I had to sit down again to be a mother. And for whatever reason God saw fit, I didn't have enough that I needed to just jump in. So sit down, let's get some more stuff going, right? I'm a very spiritual person, I follow the spirit. But I'm sure you all have seen me throughout this city. My give back is for real. I'm a 2-time survivor, and I'm also a ex-offender. It was hard for me getting work, so my resume looks like I'm unreliable. But what you don't know on the back end is, as an ex-offender, we go for these jobs. Yes, they'll hire me. After they want to keep me permanent, they run the fingerprints. And then that comes with, oh, okay, we have to let you go. Not because you're not skilled, not because you're not reliable, just because the Lord says you're an ex-offender and we can't have you on this site. Now, I've had some great government jobs. 211 I worked for, which is why I'm resourceful the way I am, and I can just give them out without a business card, right? People laugh at that. But my resources come from my personal experience. It's a lot of things I go back to do. Like now I do the expungements because I'm that ex-offender who had to go through those court systems. And thankfully, like I told Ms. Bivens, it was people like her that saw through my frustration. So she didn't condemn me. She didn't kick me out of office for being upset or misunderstood and frustrated. She actually educated me and she assisted me. Going through this process, and I'm gonna have to say, as some of our very own, we gotta get it together as a Black people. And I'm gonna continue to speak on it. And I'm gonna continue to say that we can work together as strong Black women. We're all pieces to a puzzle to make it complete. What I don't like, I know my time is running out, but I was also, this housing is a big issue. From Garden Spires now to Pilgrim. I just need to know, who do we go to that LaMonica's not here anymore?
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Deborah Salt, the city of Newark, warrior for the people. So, you know, one of the last meetings, well, first of all, Munira got ejected for going over her 3 minutes. But you have people who stand up in here. That last meeting, that was a travesty. But the thing is, you allowed the people who you enjoy what they're saying to the activists, you let them roll on and on and on. You let them verbally assault people literally over them while they're in the meeting, and you don't eject them. I had to say to you, Crump, the one that was carrying on over here, my brother, you didn't have the police remove him, but the ones who were in their seat and being accosted verbally, you just let it go on, go on. And this is a track record that you all have. Anyone that supports you, you let them ramble on, you let them go on, you let them say the things that you would like to say, but because of your position, you don't get to do that. So it's not just those who do them, but those who have pleasure in the same. You know the scripture, right? They get to say what you don't get to say to we the people. Their behavior was belligerent. It was irate, and not one time did you say, officer, remove this and thus person. But the ones sitting down, you called their names. Remove them. Right? So you are out of order, sir. You are out of order. And this is why you should not be in that seat. Now, getting to what I wanted to talk about, these agendas that you all have, the Newark Summit for Real Estate, Economic Development, and Placemaking that just happened on Monday. These tickets go from $375 to $500 or more. But the people whose lives are being impacted are never in the room for these discussions. When you're talking about real estate, entrepreneurship, our people are dealing with the struggle of simply having $375 to pay a bill or buy food for their children because of what you all have allowed in this city with these rents that are sky high to the heavens, but you don't care because you don't have to deal with it. Your people don't suffer. The ones who are in obeisance to you are taken care of. But the majority of the city, the ones who make $16,000 to $36,000, and I'm gonna come back at the next meeting and break those numbers down for you and what that looks like. So Allison gets up here with a word salad, 60% AMI, 40% AMI, to where a person on the AMI schedule for one of these buildings would only have $300 left at the end of the month.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Inez, and I'm here for Rising Plains. I'm referring to the page 5 that you guys didn't agree on. It was previously passed, but we just had to amend it because the first survey said we can do 3 two-family homes. No, 4 two-family homes, but we're changing it to 3 two-family homes. And they're all affordable. We've did work in Newark before, so this is nothing new to us. Everything we do in Newark is affordable. That's it. I just put a face on Rising Plains. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker. Seeing none. Anything from the council? I will say this one thing. If anybody had been at the last meeting and saw what happened, you would have noticed and seen that I did mention everybody's name who was loud and being, doesn't matter what side they were on, if they were being loud, I did that. So go back and look at the tape if you're not sure, because you can wave your finger all you want, but the reality of it is it's in black and white, and watch the tape. In fact, he felt so bad afterwards, he apologized to me, something I never get from many of you all. But that's okay, because this is my job and this is what I do, and I love doing this to help the people. So with that being said, Corporate Counsel.
Good afternoon, City of Newark Corporation Counsel, Kenyatta Stewart. So I was a part of a meeting that took place about a week and a half ago, give or take. I know Councilwoman Roundtree asked a number of us to get together from different departments in reference to some of Mr. Tillman's concerns. And in the meeting, I know there have been some back and forth about the details of the meeting, but from what I remember of the meeting, it was a fruitful and energetic meeting, to say the least. But what's most important is we took the opportunity about an hour or so to listen to Mr. Tillman's concerns. I know folks from my office were there and took notes and things of that nature. What I think was most important in that meeting was the fact that we invited Mr. Tillman to the table. We thought it was important for him to come here and listen. We don't have a problem with anybody coming here to express how they feel. And we also agreed to disagree about some of the processes that we use here. We also wanted to take some of his recommendations. But what I think is most important is the open invitation that was made by Ms. Gaylord, who said, and I had to reiterate it a few times, is that she will have a weekly meeting with Mr. Tillman, if necessary, to try to get him involved in our process, involved in recruiting, involved in moving people around throughout the city, trying to get them at locations and things of that nature. Some of the trainings that they offer, we provided the details. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to make the comment here, not for Mr. Tillman, because I know that he knows the door is still open for the council members here and for the public as well, that we're going to open the door again. The door has not shut at all for Mr. Tillman to be a part of that process. I want to ask him to speak to me on the side after this to see if I can connect him and Ms. Gaylord. I'm not sure if they have each other's phone number. I'm not sure if that's how it ended. But what's most important is that we want to give him an opportunity to be a part of the process that he's complaining about, rightfully so. He has the right to complain. But I think it's important for him to be clear that he can be a part of the process. He just talked about a plan that he wants from Ms. Gaylord and Deputy Mayor Muhammad, but I think he can be a part of that plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Corporate Counsel. Anything else from the administration? All right, seeing none, I need a motion to adjourn.
Council,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Kelly absent, Quintana, Ramos,
Yes.
Scott Roundtree, Silva,
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes, meeting adjourned. Now, on to.
Yes, Council President, council members, we are now in the special conference portion of the meeting where we have two presentations today. The first one is on the 2024-2025 snow plan by Director Tariq Roland of the Division of Sanitation, DPW.
Good morning.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, Administration and council members. My name is Tariq Roland. I currently serve as the Interim Director of DPW. I provided your office and team with the packet of the snow plan. I'll just briefly go through some of the items of where we are, where we want to be, and how we plan to get there. And in that packet, we discussed and explained our preparation before snow, our salting operations, our plowing operations, our plowing priorities, which is hills, bridges, emergency routes, and the major arteries and catch basins, our secondary plan with our neighborhood streets, and our partnership with the county to abate county roads. And lastly, our alternate parking options in partnership with Newark Public Schools, participating churches, and participating businesses. take the next couple minutes to discuss where we are, where we want to be, and how we plan to get there. In a short summary, our total equipment between DPW that we have, between DPW and water sewer, we have 51 pieces of equipment. Between our 7 vendors that we have 82 pieces of snow equipment. That's 133 pieces. I think that is suffice enough to be able to handle any snowstorm, right, that we get here in the city of Newark. Our salt inventory currently stands at, we have 200 tons on 12th Street, 2,500 tons on Earl Street, 800 tons on Ravona. That's a 3,500, add that we have in tons. We also have 5,000 tons on standby. Our brine, we have 3,000 gallons of brine at Earl Street, 2,000 gallons at 12th Street, and 4,000 at Ravona. That's 9,000 gallons that we have in our inventory. Our training plan, as recently as last Wednesday, we trained 26 new drivers that we have hired to focus on snow. Obviously, we have about 45 to 50 experienced drivers, and we plan to train 11 new drivers next Wednesday who just came on board a couple months ago. That's our night crew drivers, so that will kind of like assist us if we have to go 12 to 24 hours. We don't want to overwork and overburn guys. We met with all our vendors last month, so we are all on one page. We plan to have a mock run with just DPW and water and sewer internally to prepare for about a foot of snow. We'll do a mock run with our staff next Wednesday. And then lastly, we have an upcoming meeting in the upcoming weeks. We're working with OEM and public safety to meet with Rutgers, NJIT, and our partners to figure out that plan. And that's all I have. Any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas?
Council members, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Council.
Just 2 things real quick. One, the importance also to reach out to the state agency. I noticed that in the report you had the county agency, but there are some state roads. 27 is one, so that they know that they share responsibility, and to get them in these meetings when you're having the pre-meetings to figure out what their strategy is when they start, when they stop. And then also in the plan, I think it's important even to to have for individuals to talk about at what point when a storm is released over to OEM and public safety, right? Because there are junctures where a storm rises to a different magnitude where state OEM has to take over the management and operations of that. I think is ideal to put in here so people are clear about what is happening and not going, crazy and trying to create some other narrative. The pieces of equipment, you said that we have 51 pieces.
Yes.
And then is it the vendors or
Vendors in total. So if you want the individual numbers, I can provide it for you. But between 7 vendors, we have 82 pieces of equipment.
So 51 plus the 82.
Yep, 133.
Yeah. I'm good.
Any other questions? Hopefully we won't need this, but thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right.
Next presentation is from the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, Director Kylisha Wingfield Hill.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
Lakeisha Yuri, Deputy Mayor for Public Safety. Director Kylisha Wingfield Hill is here, Assistant Deputy Mayor Barry Ford to do the presentation. Before you, you have a PowerPoint presentation that we prepared, and we just wanted to give a presentation around what the Office of Violence Prevention does, its mission, vision, and some of the data. The Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery was ultimately founded in 2020 in the wake of the George Floyd. And so we reallocated 5% of the police department's budget in order to be able to create the Office of Violence Prevention, because prior to that, we didn't have anything institutionalized. We had an increase in our crime and violence during those years, and I was around during the time when we had over 112 homicides in the city. So we created the Office of Violence Prevention. And the ultimate mission for the Violence Prevention Office is for trauma recovery, for quality of life for residents, not the law enforcement side, but the public health side for our residents. What happens after something happens to somebody? Do they have a place to go? Is there a place for them to get help? And so the Office of Violence Prevention was created for that reason, for public safety, public health, and law and city government to be able to work together. The pillars that we work under, we created these things so we can have an active voice in public safety, so that we can mobilize in the hot spots, so we can shift the culture around trauma, healing, trust in the community. And we want to be able to invest in the capacity of our community to be able to heal itself and do work for itself and have a community-based approach. And so the Brick City Peace Collective was also created, but the Brick City Peace Collective existed before the Office of Violence Prevention. And Brick City Peace Collective purpose was to organize and to collaborate and have partnerships so that we can do the work collaboratively. But we needed to be able to have research and data to do the work. How do we deploy resources? How do we do that? And so Brick City Peace Collective is an arm of the Office of Violence Prevention that helps us to be able to do the work from that place, from a data perspective, and for collaboration and bringing all organizations together and institutions. And so you have the slide where you see some of the organizations that are part of the Brick City Peace Collective, and we'll just go quickly through our core services, just because we don't think that people really know what the Office of Violence Prevention does. And so the core services that we do is that we work collectively or in side by side with public safety. So we have social workers in all of the police precincts. We canvass community, we do safe surrenders, we do training, and we also meet with public safety once a month. We do a strategy meeting monthly with public safety. We have community resources. We ultimately know that people need resources: food, clothing, shelter, transportation, victims of crime compensation applications, and people need help with getting their credentials. We're doing mental health support, wellness support around domestic violence, sexual assault, grief, and trauma. We're doing emergency responses, where we're on the ground doing emergency responses in real time at crime scenes. We do conflict resolution, because we know that when things happen, there has to be a resolve. So it's not just the incident, what happens after. So we're maintaining and doing the conflict and mediations in the schools and in community. We have youth development. We know that there was an increase in youth violence, so we had to create a strategy to help with that. Community empowerment and advocacy. We understand that we need advocacy in our community. And so those are just some of the areas, but we ultimately are trying to solve for all of the things that are happening in community are the root causes of violence and why things are happening. And so we have strategic initiatives that I'll let Barry Ford do, and Kalisha will end with our data report.
Good morning, Council. Barry Ford, Assistant Deputy Mayor, Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. So first, talking about our strategic initiatives, we do want to point out the fact that we did invest $13 million in community partner capacity. As you know, 37 organizations came before you asking for permission, talking about the things that they did so that they could be approved on the budget. Those categories were, as you know, youth mentoring, victim services, trauma recovery, therapeutic and clinical services, domestic violence, high-risk intervention, and safe passage. In addition, another thing that we want to talk about is our One Hood initiative, and that is an acronym for organizing neighborhoods, empowering, healing our own development. So those are local community high-risk interventionalists, individuals who have come across a lot of particular challenges in the community themselves, now looking to give back and make a difference for things that they might have helped disrupt. And in that, they're doing critical incident support. So when we have some of these high-risk situations with retaliation, they're out there in the community trying to quell some of that stuff to prevent that retaliation. Additionally, they're supporting our community partners in the safe passage support, making sure that students are able to go back and forth from home to school. They're there in mornings and they're there in the afternoons as well. They also do their Spin the Block weekly community welfare checks, where they go through various neighborhood communities, they knock on doors, they try to see if people need community services, and ultimately refer them to the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. And then lastly, they also assist with youth engagement and mentoring, trying to make sure that they are grabbing some of the younger young men that they know and bringing them into the community to do stuff. As you also know, this summer, this was the first year in many years that we did our juvenile summer curfew engagement. As you are well aware, from 11 p.m. to 5:30 a.m., we were trying to make sure that individuals under the age of 18 were in the house or they had a viable place to go. That was done in conjunction with Newark Police. We would send out Monday through Fridays during the summer months when school was out. There'd be at least one social worker and one community worker and one police officer that went out collectively. They chose the communities based upon what was happening, where they were hearing things were happening, and they would go and try to get people in. If Summer Academy, we just finished our 4th summer doing summer employment and life training skills with 150 individuals. We do that annually. So in that program, for those 5 days a week, they are at an employment site, and 1 day a week they're with us. They're with our social workers and community partners doing life skills development and also social emotional learning. And then Summer of Hope. In the summer times when we know crime is typically higher in the communities, we are working with the Department of Recreation and Cultural Affairs and Senior Services to make sure that we're providing viable programming to try to negate some of that negativity happening, and given things we've done, the re-engagements on the corners where the workforce team came with the van so people could actually apply for jobs on the spot. We've done a variety of pop-up play streets, roller skating, barbecues, and then of course we have our annual Peace Week event, which culminates in the 24 Hours of Peace concert. The last point I want to make before I hand it over to the data is that I just want to address and make a couple of clarifying points about what OVP does and does not. First and foremost, I do want to say that OVP has a very strong relationship with MPD. I know sometimes on this microphone it can seem differently or contentious, but the reality is we work hand in hand with the Director of Public Safety, the Chief, the Assistant Chief of Police, to make sure that we have all the data, information, we share information, we canvass together weekly, we work very well, and we've never had an issue in terms of communication. We meet once a week, I myself go to CompStat every Thursday and deliver a report and get information that the team is able to go out and work. So we do have a strong relationship. No relationship, of course, is perfect, but we do in fact have a very strong relationship, and it does trickle down to the precincts and the line staff. Secondly, I want to make sure that people understand that when we give organizations money, we are not giving money to individuals for general purposes. Anytime money is granted through the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, it is related to a specific service that falls under some of those areas of concern that we talked about with the mentoring and therapeutic services, where people actually have to account for those things. When we give contracts, the contracts are reimbursement based. We're not, for the most part, giving people significant amounts of money up front. We are basically making sure that people are giving us a product and some sort of result of what they've done before they are actually paid for those services. So no one's getting rich by just giving people money up front. People are actually having to account for the things that they're doing. We also believe very strongly in the rehabilitation of individuals who have subsequently been arrested or been in law enforcement trouble, coming back and trying to redeem themselves in the community. I know that people have different views about that and the individuals that may be in the department, but we want to say very clearly that as individuals are doing that work and are showing us that respect and doing something, we're going to always support that as an office. And lastly, while this conversation has been had very often in conjecture about what the office does and does not do, we have viable data that shows exactly what we do based upon the state's Victims of Crime Act grants that we have and other things that we are mandated to do. With that, I hand it over to Director Wingfield Hill to talk about some of that data.
Thank you.
Director Wingfield Hill, Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, Council President and governing body. I do want to go over some of the data that we have here. I also just want to note when Mayor Baraka took office in 2014, the city of Newark was experiencing 112 homicides. Year to date in 2024, we are down 19%, 35 homicides, and this time last year, we were actually at 43. And that is a testament to the work that MPD, the Office of Violence Prevention, and all of the organizations that we partner with are doing. Total OVPTR crisis responses, 225. Total NPD crisis notifications, 284. Out of those 284, OVPTR on-scene crisis responses, 61. We also spoke briefly about, we do have social workers housed in each individual precinct, and what this means is that we receive daily crime reports from Newark Police Department to our social workers, and I just want to go over the numbers by precinct. Year-to-date, 2nd Precinct, the Office of Violence Prevention has received 211 daily crime reports. 3rd Precinct, 134. 4th Precinct, 490. 5th Precinct, 979. 6th Precinct, 351. 7th Precinct, 165. 9th Metro District, 63. And Juvenile Services, year-to-date, 203. I do also want to know what is a critical issue for us. We are experiencing an increase in domestic violence, and that number may be alarming to you guys because year-to-date, we have received 868 domestic violence complaints. In terms of total clients right now that are working with the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, we are working with 1,674 residents here in the city of Newark. Direct resources that they are receiving, 1138. We also informational services that we are giving to the community, folks that are walking in our office that need information on how to navigate the city, how to receive resources. We have a total of 1,017. Personal advocacy, where we have social workers, we have outreach workers that actually accompany folks in court. We don't just work with them, but we show up because most of our residents don't necessarily know how to advocate for themselves when they do not have lawyers. And right now we are in court with 16 individuals. Emotional and safety counseling services, we have medical social workers, we have licensed clinical social workers that work in our office, and we have 815 residents that are now receiving services from our MSWs and from our LCSWs. Emergency shelter housing services, we've housed 144 residents year to date. Criminal civil justice assistance, where we're actually just making sure that they understand the language that they're receiving, whether it's from their public offender, their lawyer, 53. Community school events facilitated and supported, 55. Individuals engaged through community events, 9,575. What I do want to note is that every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have our outreach workers, our social workers, and even sometimes the police department on certain days. We are out in community, in hotspot areas, canvassing those neighborhoods, knocking on doors, doing wellness checks, making sure that the residents in our hotspot areas have the resources that they need. Safe surrenders for year to date. I do want to, say thank you to all of the clergy that collaborate with the Office of Violence Prevention to open up their homes to make sure that we're able to do safe surrenders. Sometimes MPD calls us and, it's an individual, but we want to make sure that we can return that, we can take that individual and hand that individual over to the Newark Police Department. And sometimes that means meeting at a church with that individual and their family so they understand exactly what's happening, and then asking MPD to come and get that individuals. Victims of Crime Compensation Office applications, 35. What that means is VCCO. Anytime there's a victim of crime, they can put in a application, and this is how we're able to assist families with funerals or any damaged property that is as a result of a crime or an accident that happened in the city. And that is a complete stop for us. But matter of fact, I do want to note that year to date, we also have 203 young people that have been arrested, but we do have 68 young people that are still arrested. We have 102 guardians that are accepting support from our office. And so I do want to note that there are still 68 young people that are still incarcerated, but year to date, 203, but we are working with 102 of those parents. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the council?
Council members? Well, first of all, let me thank you for the OVPTR and Brick City Peace Collective for their presentation. Any questions? Council.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, thanks for the data drop. I think it's important. Just to add on to the amount of people, if we can get that information after referrals, how many people were seen after the referral, how many people were satisfied, and then ultimately looking into the data piece as well, trying to add some type of survey on it that can go out to the community to talk about the type of things and work that is being done out of the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, along with Brick City Peace Collective, to see where things could be added. One component definitely that I want to talk about, a plan, a strategy around prison to service pipeline. Individuals are coming out of the youth detention centers or through halfway houses or coming back home. What kind of information is being set up through them, through the wardens or the detention centers, individuals, so that we can begin to set up some kind of prison to service pipeline for those individuals who are coming home, and what that would look like in the services that will be provided through the Office of Violence Prevention, Trauma Recovery, or vis-a-vis, Brick City Peace Collective. So those type of things. Thanks for the report and the information, and then I'm just ultimately just trying to figure out some ways to even strengthen the safe surrenders, right? So I know it's 4 is greater than 0, right? But ultimately, how do we get people to understand who are associated and have issues and things that are going on? How do we continue to build up that level of trust between the Office of Violence Prevention, Trauma Recovery, as well as the police department and those families, to make sure that those connections could be made, safely?
Councilman Council, thank you for that. I didn't mention this, but it is on the data report. We are currently still working with 909 adults that are in custody, and we do have a social worker, Lisette, who is assigned to juveniles, who is actually working with the 68 juveniles that are still in custody. So there are 2 social workers that are currently assigned to that, but it is in the data report. I didn't want to go over each individual item, just point out the ones that I thought that were most necessary.
Thank you. Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
I just want to say thank you, Council President, that the work that the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery does is very extensive. It's not a one-person job. There are many components, and they have developed a comprehensive report. And unless you have actually been on the scene out there and know what this work entails, it is very, very heart-wrenching sometimes. It's tiring, it's overbearing. But those people who have signed up to do this work, and they're out there on those streets consistently, whether you see them, they're not on RLS, they're not on Channel 7 doing the work. And the reason I know it is because I've been out there with them. And the truth of the matter is, I applaud anyone who's willing to help someone not just turn their life around, but that is also working to try and save lives. So I do commend you. I know the work is not over. I know there's much more to do. And when you have a city with over 300,000+ residents, and a certain portion of that city has incidents and occurrences of individuals that have no leadership and no guidance, and we have mothers that are struggling and fathers that are struggling and students that are struggling, and at the same time they're surrounded in certain areas with, as the mayor would say, a health issue, which violence can I say contribute to their mental stability, their mental health. So I do want to applaud those who have signed up. And there's much work to do. Council and council just added some more components. There might be more. We can give you all types of recommendations. But what you're doing right now is very, very commendable. And I just want to thank God that someone, and there's a group of people with BCPC and all the other organizations that make up the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, have done the work, out there committing their lives to such a meaningful and significant part of the city of Newark and its growth and its restoration and its healing. That's all I have, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Let me just, I think I'll end this by saying, thank you for the work that you do. I think it's important. I think we know that it makes a difference, and it's making a difference in our community. So I want to definitely say, particularly to you 3, as well as all the other organizations that are a part of this. This is something that you don't do for fame, for money. This is something you do because you love your community. So I appreciate that and want to say that publicly. I also want to ask, I know at a previous meeting I asked about evaluations for the different community partners. I don't know if you've completed those evaluations yet. If so, it is my hope that at some point soon the council can get a copy of those evaluations. I think it's important that, although like I said, I believe in what you're doing, evaluations are important to make sure that the money that's being spent is being spent properly and in the right place and making sure they get the best bang for our buck. So hopefully soon, rather than later, that we may be able to get reports from, or evaluations from Office of Violence, OVPTR, and Brick City Peace Collective.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I do want to note that the contract officially ended for the organizations that was funded through the Office of Violence Prevention Trauma Recovery ended on November 30th. And so our compliance team and our compliance manager are now doing those evaluations on those organizations, you know, trying to figure out what we did good, what we got wrong. And so we can get those to you at the top of the year, but those contracts just ended on November 30th.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, this is not an open public session right here. But yeah, we had it already, yeah. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Everyone have a great evening or great day. Thank you.
Just so that everyone in here knows, we have an open pending